Welcome back, folks. We have game number 2 here from the best of 3 match series, Blizzcon 2011. This is between Terran, also known as Kitty, Princess, Major, whatever you know him by, spawning in the top left position against Naniwa, the Protoss down in the bottom right, here today on Ahnaris Plateau. Now, we've already progressed through the first match, which currently Terran is up 1-0. Naniwa, I think, did a great job canceling that expansion and executing that pressure play at the natural, but then overcommitting at that ramp, trying to bust up there. Once those siege tanks started laying down that suppressive fire as they were coming up the ramp, it was over, man. You know, he hit Guardian Shield, and that's fine, but knocking off 2 damage of what we have from those siege tanks, which is way more than that. I think it's 35 and 60 if armored. Still, that is a ton of damage. So, again, I just think that Naniwa, even though, yes, he was behind from canceling, I think he just got a bit too greedy there. He wanted to try to seal the deal, and I think he did enough damage by canceling or by delaying that expansion. If he had just let his expansion go, I think that the couple extra units that he got wouldn't have made enough of a difference to warrant the loss of the expansion. He still would have been able to bust up. He just wouldn't have really had the opportunity to press into the main, which I think ended up kind of poorly for him anyways. So we'll see what happens here in game number 1. Naniwa going for a pretty standard build. This is to be expected. Likewise, Terran opening up, no gas, 1 racks. Probably going to have a command center going down here in a moment or two as he misplaces his depot. And yeah, this is Ahnaris Plateau. Good map for macro style of play. Would not be surprised if we saw that Nexus go down for Naniwa and not get canceled this time. Now, whether or not he opens up with a 1-gate or a 2-gate, I think we're going to see that in just a minute here. Cybernetics core going down. We're going to watch that timing of the second gas and see if we can determine, okay, so it is going down at the same time. I think we are going to have that same build from Naniwa. Looking up here at Terran / Major, we see no gas just yet. Again, this is not at all surprising. We are going to likely see that command center going down. Really no other reason to approach this high of minerals at this point in the game. So once that's complete, we'll kind of get a better idea. I'm really curious to see if he's going to be going for that same factory style of play, including the siege tanks, which I think actually helped him out in game number 1. I mean, obviously he was able to repel that attack, but it kind of threw Naniwa for a curveball. You know, that long-range fire helped knock the shields off of the zealots early on, and of course with EMP later, just made it all the more easier to deal with the Archons. So now with the Terran player having scouted out his opponent, he does have a pretty good idea of what's going on down here. Second gateway, okay, that's fine. I'm just going to anticipate that's going to be facing some stalker pressure over here. And of course we do have the probe coming in. It's going to be scout the expansion. Yes, of course it makes it over there and scouts it with plenty of time to spare. So, now that he has this information, my question is, what is he going to do with it? He's getting 2 sentries, which means that he wants to start saving up some money for something else. Now, looking at the gas, okay, we're going to see robotics facility. No, we're not. We are going to be having that probe. What are you doing, probe? Okay, now he is going to be dropping down that expansion, and of course there's that stalker. He's heading up here because he's anticipating finding a scout or something like that, a marine, anything. Get a free kill, it's a free kill. You know, can't argue with that. So he is going to spot that scout right there. We'll discover that probe sitting there and knows that expansion is way delayed compared to his opponent. You know, Naniwa going for a little bit safer of an opening. I do like that. I think he can still make this work very well in this game, considering the fact the Terran player up here only has 2 barracks, 1 tech lab coming. I'm sorry, 3 barracks total. 1 tech lab on the way. So that's going to be combat shields, stim. It's going to be a little while before the Terran player is really able to do a whole lot of pressure. We do have him moving out, but this is not really an attempt to pressure. This is just kind of making sure nothing is immediately outside of the base. A lot of times Protoss players position stalkers right out here, and of course point in case right here, Naniwa just keeping this just outside, and that's all that really the Terran player was looking to do. Just kind of kill that stalker. Okay, none. Head back to base. So up here we have double gas completed. You can see SCV is working on that. Engineering bay as well. Going to have weapons 1 probably here. Seems to be a pretty standard thing to get. Second tech lab. We are going to see some marauders coming here very soon. We already have 1 on the way. Naniwa continuing on to the sentries. Of course, this is a very defensive build. As he starts to get Stalkers, we're going to see... ooh, robotics facility, nice. We're going to start to see this money continue to be invested into infrastructure. We're going to see some additional gateways. Now, with this robotics facility being included this game, I'm a little curious if he's going to be using it for Warp Prism, if he's going to be transitioning into Colossus, or if he's just going to use Immortals as kind of a... ooh, nice, right there. Waiting until after the scan, Chrono boosting out that Immortal. Or if he's going to use, well, I guess it's answered right here, Immortals, which are one of my favorite units, especially since they got that range boost now from 5 to 6. But, you know, the Immortal is a fantastic unit for transitioning in PvT. It's not something that always works very well, just as a standard thing to get. I consider it, like I said, just a transition unit. If you're getting Colossi, having some Immortals around to deal with that first wave of Marauders, exceptionally powerful. You know, you can just take those out so very quickly. But overall, the shields can be negated very easily by EMP in the later stages of the game, so it's not something that you see a whole lot in a standard Protoss army unless the situation specifically calls for it. So that's just kind of why I think of it as a transition unit. It's something great to get on the way to something else. So Terran looks like he's going to be going pretty standard. We've got the starport, we've got that reactor going down, which I'm assuming is close to the starport. Flip it up. Yep, there we go. It's going to be going down on there. Get some medevacs out. Switch over to Vikings very easily. That's why Colossus is a pretty dangerous thing to go as Protoss. You do have to anticipate the fact that the Terran player is likely going to have the... oh man, poor Zealot. He is likely going to have... oh, nice! Likely going to have Vikings. There, finish that sentence finally. So, man, that is just beautiful force fields. Those sentries, you know, they've been waiting the whole game to do that. They've just been accumulating that energy, letting it build up to the point where they knew they'd be able to just do a phenomenal play like that. And now you can see that really created a supply gap, 77 to 62. Losing that army, just actually take a look at that real quick. We see 650 to 1450 in terms of army investment. Looking at the unit counting station, as so many other casters call it, I see 4 and 6 for the Marines and Marauders. And we are going to have several bunkers here. I think this is a great call. I do like how the Marauders are in front, slowing the approach of the incoming force. And of course, we could see there's more in the back as well. Another expansion on the way for our Terran player, and likewise, we have a third one coming down for Naniwa. He's pretty much just working on containment at this point. He wanted to test the waters, see, okay, we're going to have any siege tanks this time? Probably not. A lot less likely, since the fact that he had those infantry upgrades way earlier than he did the last game. But still, looking around here, I feel like Naniwa is just in such a good position. Yes, the supplies are very close to one another, and that's fine. I mean, having 3 command centers worth of SCVs being produced, all these barracks, you would expect him to recover very quickly. But the fact that this expansion is on the way, and I don't really think the Terran player is going to be able to do a lot about it, really just shows that Naniwa, I think, is in a great position to move ahead in this game. Of course, Naniwa spots that drop right there. Good positioning on that Zealot. And Terran's like, okay, well, you know what? Not even going to commit to that. It's very obvious that my opponent knows what's going on, anticipated that attack. So drop back here and go. It looks like a different route. This time heading with a little bit different of a composition. But notice right here, you saw how I had that medevac clicked. It was rallied to go to this point. The Stalker is going to catch it. It's very likely the Stalker will die if the Terran player decides to commit to taking it out. But still, again, that's going to give Naniwa that crucial information that drop is on the way. And, you know, if you wanted to, you could always drop like a cannon right here, or place a Zealot or 2 in the mineral line in each patch. Of course, he does have several Stalkers over here with Blink about 50% complete. Chrono boosting, double upgrades, very smart move, I think. And looking around here, we do have the drop actually coming just out of range of the Protoss. He does not know it's on the way, so he is going to be coming down here, checking out. There's no expansion, likely be making his way here. There's that scan. Again, wants to see if he can find out where that army is at, know if it's safe to drop or not. Now we do have the Observer patrolling back and forth, as well as a probe over here. Could be dropping a proxy pylon, could be scouting out. We'll keep an eye on that. As, oh man, here we go. Terran player dropping back here. This is actually great positioning for the Terran to drop in. You see, I like this a lot. But, you know, Zealot's already here in place. Really going to make it difficult to pull off any serious engagements there. So, Naniwa with this force now, let's actually just take a look at it real quick. When the unit... excuse me here. Unit tab, we do have Colossus, Stalkers, Sentries, so pretty healthy looking force. I like that a lot, looking great. But moving out now, a lot of Marines. He's got those Ghosts, the Medivacs, as well as the Vikings. Does he have enough Vikings to actually deal with an attack, though? That, I really don't think so. Sitting here with 3 Colossi, yeah, definitely not. It's going to take a lot more than that to take out the Colossi before they're able to annihilate all of these Marines. Notice how he does have 2 Ghosts, though, so that energy is going to be accumulating. You're going to be able to blanket with EMP here in the coming moments ahead. There's that proxy pylon we were talking about just a second or two ago. This is a good position. I mean, if nothing else, if the Terran player attacks, the Naniwa, if he feels like he's in a comfortable enough position with his defense, he can warp in a round of Zealots, come in here, and attack the mineral line. Again, pretty vulnerable to that attack. So, with 1 Medivac loaded up here, he's going to be a little bit careful. I'm assuming that we're going to have a drop coming in just a second or two. Uh-oh, Medivac running full speed ahead. Could he lose it? That's a lot of units right there. That would be a massive loss. Get it! Oh, man. Yes, he does manage. Take it out. We have another drop coming over here. This one, I think, will be able to drop, though. Yes, it will. Oh, nope. Oh, so close. So very close. Running right next to the Observer, though. Naniwa just on the ball, man. 2 dropships worth of units. Terran is definitely fighting what feels like a losing battle here. Gets caught at every turn. I think he's anticipated 3 out of the 4 drops and was just Johnny on the spot with the 4th. 163 to 183 right now. Vikings starting to look a little bit better for Terran, so I think if he's able to land some great EMPs and try to snipe off 1 or 2 of the Colossi here before the engagement, I think that Terran could still pull ahead and win this, but we'll have to see what happens here as the Marauders just pretty much running around. This is not really looking to engage anything major, just checking the watchtowers, etc. Now notice there's not a lot of anti-air here in the front. Of course, all the Stalkers are on the bottom side, so he's got to keep that in mind when dealing with this. He may decide to blink ahead and see if he can catch one of these. I don't know. No, he's actually losing a lot of Vikings here. 1 Colossus has already gone down. 2nd one as well. 3rd one on the way down, but the Archons are here to stay, folks. They are able to just annihilate all of these forces here. And the combination of the Archons plus the Immortals plus the Heavy Stalker, I think, is going to lead to Naniwa coming ahead just ever so slightly. Very nice performance. Good blink micro. SCV is coming off the line as well. Good surround on the Stalker. But again, Naniwa is coming out of this fight with a lead like no other, man. 124 to 77. Looking up here, we see that expansion is toast. Of course, it is an orbital command going for that extra economy, extra ability to get those scans. Going to be losing that very quickly here. I think it's going to be burning so very close. Yes, it does start burning, but I think that's not going to be a problem for our Terran player here. 96 to 142. Units lost. Look at 12.8k to 7.9. Looking at the actual workers and units killed, 48 to 133. And as far as income is concerned, you see Terran 42, Protoss 69, with more Archons on the way. Continuing with the Colossus production, we just look at the units tab real quick. We can see Terran is really kind of hurting right now. He has 13 Marauders, and that's great. But the problem is, I don't think he has any Ghosts in this army right here. No, so if he is caught off guard, where are the Ghosts actually? Are they running down here? Okay, yeah, there we go. So if he is caught without those, then he is just going to be in a big pickle. But fortunately for the Terran player, he does have enough for 2 EMPs. Going to be continuing to run around. I think at this point, I mean, you know, the Terran player is facing an uphill battle, but he still could stand to do some drop play here. He hasn't really realized a lot of success with it in the early game, but now that Naniwa is feeling a lot more confident, you see he's keeping his forces midfield, which means that dropship play would be a lot more effective, as the runtime between the bases would just be so much longer, and it would keep the Protoss player on his half of the map just long enough for the Terran to maybe get up this third base and actually get it functional again. Although, here we go with another big engagement, folks. Zealots have absorbed the first EMP and the second, but there are just so many of them. We're going to see those get taken out. Those Marauders, rather. And, of course, there's one poor Viking trying to do some damage. There's the GG from Terran, concluding game number 2. Giving it to Naniwa. All right, folks, let's go on to game number 3 and see this how ends. Yes, English, my strong suit.